a 3-0 victory over Aston Villa as we welcome in Julien pitch side for us. Jules, I tell you what, Palace thoroughly deserved that.
Yeah, completely. I mean, they were outstanding from start to finish. We said before the game, didn't we, the back five of Palace. Villa usually struggled this season to play against that back five with the ball, without the ball, and it was the case tonight. Then Villa never really found the solution. Emery never found the solution either. And Glasner on the other side had all his game plan really spot on again, but you know with Palace what they're going to do. So I was really disappointed by Unai Emery's game decision during the match to start with, and a tactical decision, but also at the start of the game, nothing really that he tried was working. But for Palace, so great afternoon. The fans are amazing. Eze, Mateta, Lacroix at the back was outstanding. And what about Wharton? The kid's just come back from injury not that long ago. He bossed that midfield today.
3-0 almost compliments Villa. Palace could have gotten more, Kieran. They were so dominant today.
They outclassed Villa in every department from the beginning of the game. We said that they were going to be favourites, Villa, from the beginning. But the way that Crystal Palace dismantled Villa, soaked up all of the pressure that they had to offer, and they picked their moments brilliantly defensively. They got their distances right, and as soon as it was that time to pounce and win the ball back in the middle of the field, they did it brilliantly. And then they were just clinical at the other end. An absolutely outstanding performance from Crystal Palace.
I thought to Jules' point that you kind of know what Crystal Palace are going to do. Well, that's taken absolutely correctly. Mateta is just too good, too strong physically for Aston Villa. Eze, how do you play against Eze? You know, he plays like he's on the playground, and you're never quite sure what's going to come from him other than it's going to be really, really good. So how do you set up a game plan for those two? I thought, and then to Kieran's point, I thought Palace defended wonderfully well. And then you saw from Palace, high pressure in midfield, won the ball back, couple of opportunities that created really good chances for Crystal Palace that somehow Aston Villa just weren't able to cope with. Weren't able to cope with the pressure in midfield when it came. Weren't able to cope with the ball into the channels over the top for Mateta. Weren't able to cope with just the brilliance of an Eze. And as a result, Crystal Palace won comfortably, deservedly. And you're right, this quite easily could have been 6.
Jules, where was that spark from Villa? We were talking about the fact that they'd had 24 hours extra to prepare. They just seemed flat right from the off today.
Yeah, I really believe the game plan was wrong. We said it at half-time. When you play against Palace and that back five, the centre of the pitch is congested. You've got 3 centre-backs plus the 2 defensive midfielders ahead of that 3 centre-backs, right? If you don't have that pace wide, if you can't go 1-on-1 or 2v1 wide, you're never going to do anything. So Asensio, Watkins hardly touched the ball. I mean, I looked at the stats for Asensio. It's embarrassing. Asensio won the Champions League 3 times. He's a Real Madrid player. He's a Spanish international. Today, he was embarrassing. And Villa never really got going because wide, for too long, they were inefficient. And that's why it was so easy for Palace. They had everything in front of them. We said that Wharton was outstanding, but the midfield was great. Kamada too. The 3 centre-backs were playing in their sofa. There was no threat at all. And then Sarr, and then Eze, and then Mateta, really. And I'm sorry, Tielemans and Pau Torres, 2 really experienced players, top players for Villa, losing the ball on the first 2 goals is not acceptable. And that's, at the end of the day, this is the difference. The big players for Palace won the game. The big players for Aston Villa really lost the game because those 2 mistakes by Tielemans and Torres are not acceptable at this level.
And what happened to Villa, Kieran? Where was that drive, that ambition today?
I think the only thing I could probably put it down to is when you're competing on all fronts, you know, Champions League every week, trying to push for a European spot. You've got the FA Cup run. It can take a lot out of you. It can take a lot out of you. I've been there, and you do run out of legs, and then that's when you have to really rely on your individual quality. And I think that those individuals that they could rely on just dipped in form a little bit at the last minute, and it's a shame because this Villa side for me, they're as good of a Villa side as I've seen probably since the early 2000s. I would say when you had the James Milners, the Ashley Youngs. A scary Villa side that you didn't want to come up against. That's what this Aston Villa team reminds me of. And they've just run out of gas a little bit at the last minute. And it's a shame because, it would have been great to have seen them lift the trophy. I'm sure Unai Emery will be devastated. It looks like their European journey for next season is gonna be tight as well, with all the other teams competing for the top 4 or 5. And yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing end to their season.
For Crystal Palace, they'll be watching with an eagle eye, of course, tomorrow for clash between Nottingham Forest and Manchester City. Whoever wins that will face Palace in the FA Cup final next month. Coverage of that game starts at 11 a.m. Eastern, kickoff at 11:30.